What's up, everybody, and welcome to this live celebration in honor of our dear friend Ryan Cahill's of Empires
Aw.
and Dust. My name is Adrian Gibson, author of Mushroom Blues, which is this baby right here, and we'll just go around, we'll introduce everybody. We'll start off with the man of the hour, Ryan Cahill.
Oh, shit. I wasn't prepped. We were just talking about this. Christopher's the prepped one. I'm not prepped. My name's Ryan. If you're here and you don't know who I am, it's a very strange situation we found ourselves in. And today is the launch for Vampires and Dust, which is 2 years coming, and I'm very tired and very happy that it's finally out. And yeah, I'm happy. Most people in the US don't have it yet because whatever reason Amazon do it. I just found out recently that Amazon based themselves off PST time. So even when it hits midnight on the Eastern Coast, you're still screwed.
Yeah. It's like if you ever set up like a sale on Amazon, then you quickly realize like, okay, yeah, I can't set this up at like my exact time zone. So
yep.
it's good.
And I'll switch us over to Christopher.
Thanks, Jeff. Christopher Ruocchio, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be here. Ryan, congratulations. You managed to beat you beat your kid with the book, right?
You said I beat my kids?
Yeah.
I mean, it is chonky. It is definitely a weapon.
You and I were in the same situation. We were like racing like this imminent, arrival, and I lost. My daughter was born like a month early, so I super lost. And I'm still editing book 7, so. Congratulations, you made it out. You won. You at least escaped the race. I don't know if you won or not, but
no. Now he has a child, and the race is never ending.
There is no winning in this. We win together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough. We win as a team.
We're all parents struggling and suffering together.
I would like to have James. Is it Islington or Islington?
I think Islington if you're American, and Islington if you're from some part of the UK.
Yeah, I have no American, so I don't know how he says his name.
Yeah, but author of The Will of the Many, right?
Sorry, I'm starting to hear, this keeps happening to me. I'm starting to hear like a YouTube playing in the background.
Ryan's tripping out. He's tripping out.
Yeah, I'm tripping balls right now.
We're like 2 minutes in.
Okay, I'm back. This happens to me in almost everything. And like, I can't find the window. It's like YouTube I opened when I clicked the link like 4 days ago when you sent it to me. But sorry, yeah, Islington or Islington, because my brain, I was like hearing voices.
Yeah, I think like if you're like North American, it's Islington, and I don't know how anyone else pronounces it.
Cool. Yeah, but I want to have a chat with him because he keeps releasing his books in the same year that I release them. And I'm sick of it. Because I released The War and Ruin, and then he releases The Will of the Many, and you have no idea how many end-of-year lists I came second on to The Will of the Many, and now I have to face The Strength of the Few. And like The Strength of the Few, The Devils, and Christopher's last book come out all in the same year. And I was like, you're
fucked, man.
You
all these chonky books. Yeah, I feel so like sad because you guys all have fat books, but. You'll do fine, Ryan. I have faith in you. Don't worry, buddy.
That'll be fine. You got it. Besides, you only have to win one, right, to put it on the book jacket. So,
I'm having a great time. It's finished. Yeah. It's there. And yours is massive as well at the minute, isn't it?
I don't know.
You edit down.
Yeah, I don't know how you do this repeatedly because this is the longest book I've ever written. And I wanted to die. And it was,
I do. Yeah.
It was 430,000 the first draft.
430,000, Jesus, man.
I did not want that to be true, Adrian. You're smarter than you are because your books are normal size.
I'm like, I'm just gonna write like 110, and I'm good. Like, let's roll with that. Yeah, you're like, no, 4 times that.
So I will write. I do plan on going and writing some smaller books as well. But like, I think I couldn't have told the story that I'm telling with the characters that I'm telling it with while making this story shorter. Like I've talked about this loads of times. Like I could take characters out and make their stories a separate story, but then the story I'm telling wouldn't be the story I'm telling. It'd be a different story. And so it's like, it's not really a battle of justifying like how many words are in the book. It's justifying like, is this story better told in this form or in a different form? And I think it's best told in this form. And so like, if I've heard anything about Christopher's, like the last few Christopher's books, they only seem to be getting like more epic and better as that's everyone.
Yeah.
But
the thing is, it's justified by the stories that are being told. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. As long as your story is justifying, and I don't know anyone who's at that stage now and is having a bad time. So it's your last book in the series. Just fucking go hard or go home. Do whatever you want.
Man.
Yeah, sure. I'm still trying to get it.
Fuck the printers. They can deal with it. Distributors, they can deal with it.
Yeah, it's hard though. This is like one of those trend pub things though. The longer the book is, there's like a graph here. It's like how big a name are you versus how big the book is, and if the book is really huge and you're not a big deal, then it just doesn't get bought by the bookstores at all in stock because they care about like shelf inches in the stores, right? This is what got me.
That's also where the pre-orders come into account, does it? Like for you guys, like if they'll help to justify for the bookstore that your book is worth it.
Yeah, but if you're like a sort of average debut, right, and the orders are ordinary, then this sort of stacks up pretty quickly, and it gets harder and harder to find the book. This is what happened to me starting out, right? I did like okay. The first 3 books had earned out like all the way up through the events of 2020, let's say, right? But like the pre-orders were like pretty unremarkable. They printed, I think, 4,000 of book 1 in hardcover. That was it, right? And that's because the orders were what they were. And when you're traditional publishing, you try to sell out in the first like 18 months, basically, of that first print run, hardcover, the trade paperback, or whatever. And because you guess, right? Especially with like a debut author, you have no idea like what they're.
That launch period in that first year for trad pub is so much more critical than it can be for indies. Like which with the way things can trend downwards, whereas I find with indies, if you're
India trends upwards.
That first book trends upwards.
Yeah,
like it's so different. Mostly because it's focused on digital.
Yeah, that's what I've seen with my first year, and like Ryan, I know it was the same for you. It's like like things pick up steam.
Then you can be Christopher, and then you get like your series gets an injection of like crack and methamphetamine at the same time. By loads of different,
just a needle full of Daniel Green, and then
has
shit
anybody
goes
realized the series is fantastic?
Yeah, it helps, if that happens. But what it is, right, is overhead, right? Because they have to like pay to print the books. Yeah. And so they're sinking all this money in up front, and they have to be careful because they're like gambling, basically. And so it's in their interest to be conservative because like any individual book might fail, right? But they have like a bunch of them, so they have to sort of look.
We have 670,000 copies of Empire in Silence sitting back here. What do we do with them?
That does happen, right? It's like the ET game, right? If anyone knows that story, they made too many of those and it sucked, so no one bought it.
A bunch of them end up in a landfill.
Yeah, the same landfill.
You build a fort out of them,
Yeah, man. Yeah, you can just build a house.
Yeah.
I'm only also thinking we should probably just take a look at some of the questions in the chat and see because
let's just say hi to everybody. I mean, we got tons of people.
That's what I mean.
Scott Palmer. We are having a party. There's a party. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the party.
Yeah, I had a chat with Scott the other day.
Hello to Medic 981. We got a lot of friendly faces, a lot of familiar faces as well. Amina, Shane Boyce. Got a ton of people.
I think at this stage, like myself and Christopher's like Amazon pages and Audible pages are like just completely overlapped. Like also Reds is just the two of us always there interchanging positions.
Two of my fave authors on one of my fave podcasts. Aw, that's really nice. We got a lot of people. Welcome everybody, and thank you for tuning in. Bo Kelly, hello, good sir. Ryan, he's asking about a couch in the background.
So I've got that before. Is that the
Herman Miller chair?
So those chairs are like fucking like $8,000 US dollars. That's a knockoff. Got that from a local New Zealand knockoff. I didn't have the money to get one of them, and it's not nearly as comfortable, but it is quite comfortable.
Yeah, so it's like a Merman Hiller,
much cheaper. It matches the decrease in cost.
Nice. We got Tay. Hello Taylor. We were just talking about you. Hopefully
don't tell her why.
Just surprise.
Don't tell her why.
Just think on it. But welcome everybody, and thank you for tuning in. We got like 50 people right off the bat, which is awesome. So thank you all for being here.
Team.
And I'm just very, very proud of my boy Ryan for pushing through it, man. It's like your wife gave birth and then you gave birth, so it's like
I literally passed out on the couch the other day, and my wife, like Amy, came in. She took a picture and showed me afterwards, and I woke up and the dog had came in, climbed up onto the couch, and wrapped herself around my head and went to sleep.
Nice.
And like I was already
doggy
passed
shawl.
Out.
That's cute.
It was quite cute. I was just gone. This was like 5 o'clock. I was so dead.
So
I was just done. I've had so many 3-hour sleep nights, and I was just like, I think I might just temporarily die now. and then later on I'll wake up and resume.
Yeah, but that's kind of like, that's putting out books, honestly. And like Ryan, dude, like we were talking a couple weeks ago, and you were like, you're 4 years in, and you put out consistently like a book and a novella, or at least one book a year since you started, which is
we were talking about
wild,
it yesterday,
dude.
and when I realized my entire career, every single release I have has started, existed, and continued between the launches of Rhythm of War and Wind and Truth with a year to spare. That launched in 2020. I launched in 2021, and then my book 4 and Wind and Truth are launching like a month and a bit, 2 months apart, whichever, or 3 months. So
Take
like
that,
basically 3 months on this end, but a year on that end. So like with about 7 or 8 months to spare, I was like, man, I might need to slow down just for medical reasons. I think it's
You're a dad now too. You're gonna lose a lot of sleep, bro. So
I don't envy Christopher having to finish these edits now with two babies. Well, like a toddler and a baby.
Yeah, fortunately, we have a fair bit of help, but weirdly, the having 2 has helped my case for why I should be allowed to sleep, because one of us needs to be awake for the 2-year-old. So I've been on the couch for a minute. So I've been getting my usual 5 hours of sleep a night anyway. I barely, I don't sleep very well anyway. But yeah, so I've been doing okay.
That's not fair.
Yeah, but number 2 actually, she'll go already about 6 hours at a stretch at night. So it's she's doing okay. During the day,
I don't think we've hit 6 hours yet. Like I think there was a place where we graduated to longer than 1 hour, and that was really nice.
Yeah,
because we've had some, like our Ella is amazing, but she's born with a fractured leg. She's a bit of colic going on. And so, like, until about like 8 weeks in, she would literally not sleep anywhere except on one of our chests. So I'd like stay up till like 4 a.m. and either have her on my chest while I write, so Amy can sleep, or Amy would sleep with her on her chest, and I would have like the baby monitor on like continuous active, just watching to make sure that everything was okay. And we had this period where like I'd work till like trying to get these deadlines. I'd work till 4 a.m. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to die, and then I'll go in, and then Ella would scream from 4 a.m. So I'd be there like awake for 2 hours till 6 a.m. It's like, how does anyone survive this?
Yeah, man. I just got out of the horrible stretch, because it's like my oldest is 4.5, and then my youngest is 2, but the youngest will only, like, if he sleeps with my wife, like if she tries to put him to sleep, he just refuses. He's like, yo, you're here, like let's fucking go, like let's talk, let's hang out, let's like have a glass of wine, like it's like, dude, you're supposed to be in bed at like 6:37. He ends up hanging out until like 8:30. With me, I'm just like, bro, let's do this. We bathe, we got all that shit done. It's super like Spartan bedtime routine, but he's like in bed at 6:30. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck it is about my wife, but he's like,
I'm gonna put you in the wild with a wolf. I'm gonna see you. That's what the Spartans did in the Agoge, and that's what you're gonna do now.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Although we're in Ecuador, so it's like we could trade like wolves for jaguars and the mountains for jungle. So
okay, I feel like maybe don't do that to your child.
No, I won't. I'll take him to the Amazon at some point. Yeah. Christopher's
all in time, right? But coming of age, we're not there. Chapter 1 is 2 years down the road, right? Probably will begin soon. But my daughter will coerce like the bedtime routine longer and longer. It's like one more book, please. Keep daddy 1 more minute. And like, how do you do that, right?
It's like, let me finish this series, please.
I'm like, you're 45 minutes already? You need to go to sleep. But I like write in the morning, so sort of the other way around. I'll get up at 4 a.m. and then work until she wakes up.
Yeah.
So
that's been my jam too.
I know my strengths, and I know that I cannot guarantee that I will get myself out of bed to do that work, but I know I can stay up and do that work. So when I know it needs to be done, I stay up and I do it. If I get up early, great. But I know that I'm not as, my willpower is not as strong, because when it comes to like stopping sleep, because I get so little of it in the morning, I'm just like, no, no, fuck this. I can go back to sleep. I know I can. Gone.
Well,
You can start doing what I did, Ryan. You can get an ice bath. Just rock that in the morning, and then you'll be awake, no problem.
We have to get out of the bed to get in. Do you actually think that I will? It will motivate me to get out of the bed if I know I have to get into an ice bath. I will stay in that bed so much longer. There's no way.
Just like throw my phone across the room. This alarm means nothing to me.
I have friends who are like that. I'm like, oh, what do you mean you don't want to jump in the ice bath? Why the fuck would I want to jump in an ice bath? Like, it's just, you're psychotic. You know, I'm psychotic too, just in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, but Don's got it down, man. It's like, it's just, it changes. They start to walk and then talk, and they have opinions and personalities. And before we were doing this, like, I had the joy of like my sons spending 20 minutes laughing because the youngest farted in the bath and made bubbles. It was a great time, man.
Finally, another human being with my sense of humor.
Right, dude. I was like, yo, you guys are awesome. I'm so glad your mom's not here right now.
My wife used to kill me when I farted in the bath. Like, and then the baby's funny.
You made this romantic bath so horrible, Ryan. Jesus. Ryan, I got a question from, who is it? James Connolly. Let's see what he's saying. Would you ever consider making a compendium for the world, thinking it would be nice to see all the artwork and explanation of races, creatures, all that kind of stuff? Kind of like what did they do for Song of Ice and Fire? I think it was like a World of Ice and Fire was like the compendium thing they did for it.
Yeah,
I think
there's
that'd be freaking cool, man.
There's actually loads of stuff in the works right now, like a lot of stuff. Like, there's contract signed for a huge thing like that. And then I'm also just signed off on something like a couple of days ago, where basically I won't reveal who it is or what's going on yet, but there's a guy who's really cool, and he is doing a full language construction of the language that's in my books, going back to make it a full usable language with an entire dictionary of words, complex sentence structure, and conjugation, going back like 3,000 years worth of dialect changes into the proto-language that existed before Doom, and all this other stuff, which is really, really, like, really in-depth, to the point that we'll hopefully be able to produce a book where you can learn how to speak the language, which would be very, very cool. And then also, when I go back and write earlier, we will actually be able to use the proto-language that it came from as the new language in that book, to show where all the roots come from and how things changed and how the different dialects affected things, and which is so cool. And it's like, dude, that's amazing. Crazy. I was sitting there talking to Amy, and I was like, hey, you remember, because I was like a microbiologist for years, and then like I was a biochemist and stuff. It's like, hey, do you remember when I used to like grow fungus in a lab? And now I'm like doing this shit. You know, it's so crazy. It's so cool. It's like the best part of the, like, one of the best pieces of the job is the fact that that is the job. Yeah. Like, dude, I think that's amazing. I met a guy at a Worldcon in Glasgow who's like a YouTuber who specifically works with, or like is a linguist, but looks into the history of languages, and also the ways in which who is it? Dude, I cannot remember his YouTube channel. There is a reasonable chance that it's the person.
It's probably the same person. We'll talk off air about this, but we had like multiple conversations just about language and the ways in which constructed languages in fiction, just the ways in which things like Klingon and Dothraki and all these different languages, like how they started on a fictional level, and the fact that that can become something real and tangible in the physical world as a language that people can learn and speak is just beyond fascinating. It's like
the concept that I could be able to kickstart a legitimate like language compendium and dictionary, and then the guy who's doing it would also contribute pieces where he showed part of his process as to why he made some of these choices and why we made the choices together, and like it's about like some of the history. So like there's words, and he was saying to me, hey, there's two words in your language so far that I found in the books that both mean always. Like there's Unira and there's Altinua. And it's like, oh yeah, well I when I was writing them, I figured like in real world you would have things like that, but one actually isn't translatable. So one means always as in I always have a cup of coffee in the morning, and one means always as in through space and time and all things that ever existed. Like it's a different word. And he was like, I love that. We're going to do that for all the things.
Oh my god, dude. This is gonna be brilliant, man. But I think that like that. Yeah, but I think that like also like all the art. I'm sure everyone here has seen all the art that has been compiled for the different special editions that Ryan's done with the Broken Binding. Incredible artists like across the board. I think it would be so. I think it would be so amazing to like get all of that art together and then obviously like commission some new stuff and put together a history and then have that paired with like the language compendium would be.
I have another artist in Sweden who is illustrating like every dragon that's appeared throughout the entire series or is like mentioned throughout the entire series, and so like he's doing it in a slightly pared back way. It's not like these full crazy illustrations, but like they're still really in detail, really cool, and then they can also be used as foundations for when other artists want to draw this dragon or want to draw something. I don't have to kind of go back and do like a 2-page brief. I could be like this thing, but in your style.
Oh, dude, it's like I gotta like pull multiple paragraphs of like me explaining this shit. Like,
I didn't understand. Like briefs are the biggest pain in the balls I have ever experienced.
Dude,
like,
I actually kind of like
I don't even want to take 6 weeks.
I don't love doing briefs, but I can do them really fast. Like I can put one together in like a day because of my history with graphic design. Is like I know exactly what needs to be there, but it's also not like I could do them in a
day. Like I could do a brief in a day, but I don't have a whole day to lose. So the problem is that like if a brief takes a day and I have 20 briefs and they take 20 days, that's nearly a month of my writing time gone.
That's
so
true.
I have to like separate it out, and it kind of it drags because I have to go, okay, I have an hour for briefs today. I'm going to do an hour and a bit and do everything else, and then an hour the next day, and it's just
it all piles up, man. Chris, who Don is asking, which language will you start with?
That might be, it's funny, talking about the language stuff. I just put the notebook away that has all the Cielson linguistics in it because I've been doing that. I'm working on sort of cleaning up book 7, right? And so I had 444. I put at signs to the manuscript when I have to go back for something, and like half of those were Cielson dialogue, it's usually about 200 some lines, and they're usually short lines, so it sounds like more than it is, but some of them are like whole sentences, like complicated sentences. So I could have pulled it out, but it's buried over another room, not worth it. But like I'm that guy for me, right? So like I've been sort of struggling through all of that again. I guess to Don's question, like Cielson is the only one that's really developed. All the human dialects are supposed to, or human languages are descendants of extant languages, and they're sort of combinations of the same way that English is of sort of a Germanic language and early French, Anglo-Saxon, early French. So I'm not sophisticated enough to do that with human stuff, but just making up a alien language, that I can do. So that'd be. I was saying this to someone on like the last podcast I was on. I swore I would never do it again, but I've been writing these sword and sorcery stories, sort of on the side. And the last one I needed a language, so I'm at it again. So God help me.
But dude, at that point, it's like it's in your DNA as a storyteller to construct languages for your.
But that's the thing. Even I'm doing like my one is exactly Christopher. Like I enjoy it. It's cool. I think it adds depth, and especially when it's fun to create. And it was just a case of this opportunity came up, and I was like, look, I know what I'm doing in a certain sense, but I don't have the linguistic knowledge to create a fully usable language, not properly. Like, there is a big difference. There's a big knowledge gap between the actual structure of language creation and like having sentences and words, So
Sure.
When it came up, I was like, you mean I can actually have this so that people can learn it in the same way they could learn French or German? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, this is cool. Let's move forward with that.
I am a little jealous. It's funny though, you're talking about having 2 alwayses. I've been finding on this last round going through, because the way I did it, I never realized I was going to have quite as much of it as I ended up with. And so the way I've been doing it is kind of sloppy. The notebook is a big mess. So I have been finding that there are 2 words for a lot of things, because I just couldn't find where I had the word for and.
Where you had the previous word and then the previous
So there's a lot.
You need an Excel spreadsheet, dude.
I do for verbs. I never made one for nouns for some reason. So the nouns are a little bit sloppier than the verbs are.
There's 14 different types of chair in this world.
And that's fine.
It happens to me.
you know, how many words for blue do we have at this point, right? It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
You know, these are in a weird way those sort of goofs, like, you know, like Ryan was saying, you know, they you can make them work and make the world building more interesting as a consequence of that, right? It's like, well, maybe this language swallowed, right, another language at some point, and that's why they have two words for this or that, or maybe those ands are slightly different in the way Ryan's alwayses are different, right? And that's cool, because if you just one-to-one conceptually copy words from English, right, then you're just making English through like a sort of filter, and that's not really making a language. So you need to make a decision, you know, sometimes like salesman has no word for where. They have to say in this place, in that place, and then they have a question mark that they vocalize like Japanese does, right? And so where is created as a result of that, right? But they do have all the other, you know, who, what, you know, question words, right? So you make up circumstances like that on purpose, but then sometimes they happen because you goofed, and it's often like, you know, a lot of sort, and this is true beyond the language stuff, right? I'm sure, you know, right. See what you guys think, right? But you'll make a world building mistake or a plotting mistake, and you're like, ooh, I've like done too much work in this direction already. I need to like come up with a solution that doesn't involve deleting everything. And sometimes that's where a lot of the real like fun creative work comes in, is like trying to sort of salvage, right, the work that you've done after you make a mistake like that. And
I compare it. I compare it all the time to carpentry, because in carpentry it's a common thing with the difference between an amateur and a professional isn't the professionals don't make mistakes, it's the professionals are experts at covering their mistakes or turning their mistakes into features.
It's the same. It's the same with tattoos, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Like when you have someone who's top of their craft artistically, it's not about not making mistakes. It's about being able to navigate those mistakes and turning them into something, either concealing them really professionally or finding a way to make them actually benefit you. And so I told you, there's so many times I've done that, and I go back and go, whoops, this could be cool though.
Dude, like when I was a tattoo artist, it's like you make like tiny mistake, just like, you know, try to keep it cool. You know,
Adrian, was that meant to look like a penis?
Just it's an artistic flair, man. That's all it is. But there are moments where it's like, oh well, fuck, I made a little mistake there, and there are ways in which you can, like, man, I love shading for that, because it's like if you make a little mistake on a line, you're just like, cover that shit up with shading. It's gonna look beautiful.
Is there a black circle there? It's like, well, you know, it's part of the art. You know?
That's what you asked for. And Ryan, you already got a customer, man. Rachel said she would pre-order a dictionary compendium. And there's someone in here
Rachel,
who was it?
Rachel's so cool.
Rachel also says congratulations. There are a lot of congratulations in here.
Thank you.
So Ryan,
it's really cool. Like I don't know, and what you see, but like for me, going back to when I first launched Blood and Fire, right, and maybe like in the year afterwards, and when you're more focused on like Goodreads and other stuff, and you're kind of wondering what the feedback is for stuff, and as everything moves on, you start to recognize people and recognize names. And, you know, I've seen like Rachel's reviews for the books going on. And I'm always at a stage where her reviews are always so in depth on Goodreads that I wait for them. I like reading that feedback, because I know Rachel's the kind of person who, like, these stories are being written for. You know, when someone just loves the world and loves fantasy, and you go, yeah, I think you're going to like this book, and I'm excited to see what you think. So it's cool when you like recognize those names coming back, and like, oh, I must be doing something right if I'm not pissing these people off.
If I'm not disappointing them book after
book. Like at the end of the day, like I'm not writing the books for people who hate them. Like, so the people who like these books are the people that I want to keep giving that joy to. So when I see that joy continuing, I'm having a great day.
Yeah, man, we're getting lots of love in the comments.
Well, if it was full of "fuck you, Ryan," I'd be a little bit scared.
Everyone's here. It's like, oh, I hate Chris. I hate Ryan. It's like, thank you for being here so much. Appreciate it.
Thank God Christopher's here.
I'll take some of the heat. Yep.
Carter's asking if you have any future plans for books focused on the Order before the fall, wars between elves and giants, human emergence on the continent, basically prequel series.
Yeah, like I have loads of different stuff. Like I want to write outside the series too, but at the minute, like I'm really enjoying the series, and like I do want to go back to like 3,000 years when the humans arrive, which is like kind of, and when the Order's in its infancy, and there's a lot of other things going on, and it's like there's enough new things to keep me very happy. Like whole new areas, new, like, because the way my world works as well is it's like kind of established that, you know, they can use magic to change the entire geology of the continent. Like rivers are formed, mountains are built. So when I go back 3,000 years, I can like make a whole new world map, and change the whole geology, how everything is, or geography and how everything is. And with bringing the humans in and the druids with them and stuff, this whole new magic systems to explore at their strength and different conflict. And I'm really looking forward to doing all that. It's gonna be really fun,
dude. Like honestly, like I've looked at both of you as, you know, obviously Ryan, I've talked about how much I idolize you, but Chris doesn't know yet.
I thought that was just because of my beard.
No, man, it has nothing to do with your beard. It's about your personality. Come on.
It's a little bit sad now.
No, but don't pin everything on your beard. That's not you. That's not all you are. Come on, man.
But that could be going in the morning. You never know.
Yeah, dude. But I look at both of you and I'm like, I love seeing authors who really invest themselves in series, because obviously right now, like, the trad market is very series averse. And in cases where
can I write 42 standalones?
Jesus Christ, man! Like, no, I'll write like 42 standalones with sequel potential. Like, fuck that. The thing is, like, I look at what you two have done, and there are other authors who I really admire in this sense as well. But it's like creating a world that gives you so much breadth to write the series that you want to do, but also the possibility of like writing offshoot stuff, side stories, or even going back. Like when I started creating the Fungal Verse and the world that Mushroom Blues is set in, like, I was looking at you guys and others as inspiration for like, where can I take this, and what are some ways in which I can navigate writing in a shared universe or just like a dedicated universe without feeling like burnout, you know what I mean? So obviously there's Mushroom Blues and its sequels, and I've got all those planned out. There's some side stories here and there. There's a series that goes ahead into the near future, and that's getting more like cyberpunk and with more like biotech and things like that. But then I'm also like, man, I've always like wanted to write a samurai novel. So I'm like, fuck yeah, Fungal Samurai. I'll just like throw it back like 300 years and we'll see what fun we can have there. Like, there's so much fun and potential for this kind of stuff, right?
It's a big part of like when you're trying to write in those worlds continuously. There's two pieces. Like, there's the readers and there's you. So there needs to be, for me anyway, there needs to be enough new things that satisfies my craving to do new things and explore new things. And there needs to be enough familiarity for a reader that it's still connected to the world they love, while also, for me, I feel, new things for the reader, so that it is actually its own series. Like when I go in, that's how I feel when I go to write other series that I'm going to be doing that are set in that world. Because, I don't know, I think it helps that I'm writing something that I love writing. So I'm not chasing a market. Like I'm very lucky that the things that I like to write are kind of just like commercially open genres. You know, and even like people talk, would you write sci-fi? And I was like, honestly, like the stuff like Christopher's writing, like that kind of space opera-y style, like the sci fantasy, is what I grew up with, and it's something I love too. So if I were to write sci-fi, I wouldn't write like a hard sci-fi because I don't have enough of the science. And so when you write hard sci-fi, there are some people who you got to get that fucking science right. Whereas at least with space opera style, I can put in a bit of science and then a bit of hand wavium, and depending on
bunch of weird shit and aliens and all kind of basically like magic.
You can throw shit in, like, you know. I think it's kind of like my first book. Now I started reading Empire of Silence. I think Christopher started reading Blood and Fire, and both of us like read a little bit, and then just the world just collapsed around us.
Chris was telling me like the joke is that like we adore each other, but we've never read each other's books.
And
I don't blame you. It's like both of you guys have like fat books, so it is a time investment.
We both tried.
I have a few of them here.
Yeah.
Like I have a few of the books here, but I just haven't had time to read. I think I've finished I've gotten a lot of people asking me, and it's amazing. It's so cool that I have people asking, hey, would you blurb my book? You know, and I was like, well, look, I won't blurb a book unless I read the book, because I don't see a reason for that. But honestly, I've finished like 3 books in the last 2 years, so I just don't know if I can commit to it. But now that I have a little bit of time, like Empire of Silence is the first one like that I want to read because I was enjoying it. I was reading that and Words of Radiance at the same time, and obviously 2 massive books to read at the same time. And I think I'm like a quarter of the way through Words of Radiance, really enjoying that too, but just just couldn't keep going. Like brain
Yeah.
couldn't work. But I know Christopher, from what I've heard, does a lot of cool stuff with the concept of time and space travel and distance. And so what I really like about that is the ability to throw in science. I don't know how, I haven't read it all yet, and obviously, so how deep or hardcore you go into it, and how much that kind of stuff would actually hold up or not. I'm assuming you usually know your stuff with this. But putting that kind of science in,
yeah, sure. But
that's what I mean. Yeah, so like you can put it in and then use a little bit of hand wavy, to just smooth over the blurred edges, just to blur those lines. To be like, hey, look, how about we all just accept that this is what's happening? It's a cool concept. You can apply more of the rule of cool to space opera, style genres than if you were going pure hard.
Yeah,
science.
it's kind of like the Asimov spectrum. It's like, here's magic and here's sufficiently advanced technology. Like, where are you gonna fall in there? And like, you know, on one hand, there's like authors that I love, like modern times. There's like Tchaikovsky, who like goes fucking hard on like the biology and the science and stuff.
But there's
like
also the ultimate sentence. Everything we knew about physics was wrong, and then like just change everything.
No, but that's like, I talked to him about it. It's like
our maths was wrong.
Yeah, he had so much fun writing a space opera series because it's like, I didn't have to like go so deep into.
We forgot about the flux capacitor variable, you know, and we didn't apply that, and then that's just change everything.
Yeah, but I think it's so much fun to be able to, like for my world, like I throw in a lot of real mushroom mycological science, but there's also stuff that I play around with. Like I mentioned
in my head, by the way, they're all just tripping balls all the time.
Well, there are spores everywhere
all the time.
But I had to change like the function of spores because I didn't want everyone walking around getting like what is the equivalent of like mushroom semen just floating all over the place. So I had to change what spores actually do in this world, because I'm like, I don't want everyone to be like walking around and it's like, oh, he's releasing spores, he's just trying to have sex with me. So there's like certain.
You really thought deeply about this.
I did, Ryan.
So you're pitching a book to a trad house. All right, so everyone's a mushroom and there's sperm everywhere.
And there's everyone's high and there's sperm everywhere.
Well,
it's like a ditty party. It's like a ditty party.
I think we have like a little I don't know if it's like a delay or something, and Christopher was trying to say something there as well, but I think we all kind of have like a
Chris, go for it, Mike. What
are you saying, Christopher?
Oh, I was just saying, depending on the publisher, romantasy is real big right now. You could
that's true.
That's true. We passed a pitch on our desk earlier that said sperm everywhere. Like, will we take a look at that one? No, it's mushrooms. Don't worry about it.
It could be the next big thing, man. Like mushroom romantasy.
Taylor just said mushroom semen wasn't on my bingo card for today.
No, man, but I'm here, so you never know. John's asking about your guitar. What kind of guitar do you
Taylor have? And I do play. I was learning piano before I moved to New Zealand, and I played for a long time. Super duper fun.
I hope that satisfies your question, John. And what do we got? Vishru is asking about a sequel series in this world. I think there was another question about with Bo asking, when you start the next phase of the overall series, are you going to intentionally start another debate in regards to how they should be read?
I didn't intentionally start a debate on this one. I intentionally wanted to have a book that could be read in either order, just so that people could come into my series fresh, and also to give something to people who finish Blood and Fire. And I never realized what I was creating. But I think sequel series are weirder for me because like this is like the core series that I started with, and I like the concept of finishing this story. And then I think sometimes when you go into the sequel series, I think I could do it, but there's something in my head that's like, no, because I want the future to be mildly, not ambiguous in an overall nature, but just like, I want people's imaginations to be able to work. I want them to, because I think it's one thing that happens a lot, and it's because of streaming and because of adaptations and because of people trying to suck any ounce of money they can out of any series.
Rings of Power.
They want to tell every single, but See, that one I actually don't. I don't have a problem with. I thought season 2 was brilliant. I have issues with time, but
Are you more, or
season
is it
one,
more,
season
is
one
it
was
more like,
trash.
is it more like, oh, like Lord of the Rings is like the hunt for Gollum? It's like, do we really need to know about the hunt for
That's what I
Gollum?
mean. So I think it's different with the Rings of Power. I think because loads of other issues that were going on. Season 1 was crap, and they also don't really have the rights to anything. Season 2 was great,
And they're
in my
just making a
opinion.
bunch of shit up. But
Yeah, but it's more. That's not quite what I mean. It's the untold stories. For me, what makes Lord of the Rings and a lot of those classics, and from going and doing panels at Dragon Con and stuff, you realize what the panels are on. All right. So like I had a whole panel on Tom Bombadil. All right. And the reason there's a whole panel on Tom Bombadil is because no one has a fucking clue why he's actually there. So there's now like 50 theories as to why he's there. All right. And that unknown creates the imagination, people's theories. People start to go, "Oh, I wonder why he's there." There's so many theories about him being God, about him being like the physical manifestation of the sound and music of the world, and there's all these different theories. And for me, like leaving stuff unknown is like the forgotten thing at this stage. Like
mm-hmm.
what I love about all the past series was it allows my brain and my imagination to start trying to fill in the gaps of stuff we don't know. But then when you start telling everyone what that unknown stuff is, it's no longer unknown. It's no longer cool. Like you don't get to think about what it could have been. You now know what it is. So I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like some examples of things that, like I'm thinking of Blade Runner 2049, which is a fantastic movie and I really love it. But that was one that was done well. But the one part of that movie where I'm like, I don't really need to know what happened to Harrison Ford's character. Like I didn't really need to know what happened to him.
But you look at Han Solo, right? I actually quite like that movie, but I didn't need to know he was called Solo because he was traveling on his own.
Right.
Need to know that. Like it's a cool name. Now it's not a cool name.
Yeah, they did ruin that. That and Chewbacca. Ooh, too long. We're gonna have to shorten that.
They did need to do more with Lando though. It's like Donald Glover was amazing as Lando Calrissian.
No, I think they're still supposed to. But like Star Wars is such a weird spot. There are 20 things that are in process, and like we're never seeing the Ryan Johnson trilogy. That's just dead. Like just come out and admit it, Disney coward.
No. But that's a like a universe that does exactly the opposite of what you're talking about, Ryan. It's like they're like, what are the gaps that people want to know about? Let's fill them in. And
with things nobody wanted to know about.
Right. Exactly.
But it is a funny one for me though, because I actually fall firmly in the area of, even if I don't like these things, I want them to exist if other people enjoy them, because these things succeeding creates a demand for fantasy, for science fiction, money in the area. But also, like, I don't need to shit on someone else's parade. Like I love Star Wars. I love the things that I love about it. And at the end of the day, they're fucking around with what's canon and what's not canon so much that I can kind of just pick what I think is canon in my own head.
And honestly, it's there's like the stuff that used to be expanded universe, or no, I can't remember what it was called. I don't know what it's called now. It was expanded universe, but some of the best Star Wars stories exist in that space where it's like, that's no longer canon, but it's like it is for me.
Some of the most fucking lunatic, batshit, crazy stuff you've ever heard of in your life exists there. Yeah. So there's two ends of that spectrum. But it's like stuff like the Ahsoka series, right? Like some of it I didn't really care too much for, but then like that episode with Anakin, I was like, this is what I'm here for. Mm-hmm. Show me this. Give me heroic Anakin Skywalker, who's also like Vader at the same time. Yeah. Show me this cool shit. I don't even need to see the series. Just give me this episode. Like even the Wheel of Time, series. I don't want to watch. I will not watch. Someone could tell me The Wheel of Time season 3 is the best season of TV ever created, and I will never watch it. But I will go and maybe just turn on episode 4, because I've heard that a lot of people said it was really good, really because all I really wanted was to see like the story I loved told in a visual medium. Yeah. So they've said this scene is really good and really accurate to the books and what you'd want to see. So I might just go and watch episode 4 and never watch anything else on it ever again, which I'm cool with.
Yeah, because I mean, you do have to go through 2 seasons to get to that point, right?
Or just go to season 3
and at the same time,
click episode 4 and hit play.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like clearly you've read like 3 books in the last few years, so time is a very vital and cherished thing. It's like, why would I waste my time watching something that's absolute dog shit?
And that's actually a big thing for me. Is in like I'm happy these things exist for people who are enjoying them. I want them to enjoy them, but I'm not going to spend my time watching it because I need to be a bit more selective. Because I just don't have a huge amount of free time, and if I'm taking that as my free time, it's also time I'm not spending with Amy and
Yeah.
with Ella and stuff. So when I'm doing that, I want to make sure that things I'm doing are stuff that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is just the nature of the job too, right? The more that you're writing, the less there is time to read, and especially if the reading you are doing is for work, right? It's for blurbs, or I mean, I used to be an editor, right? So like all of my reading was for work, and something about it being work, I find makes it harder to do at all, right? It's true of like watching movies. Like I enjoy watching fantasy science fiction stuff a lot less than I used to, unless it's something I already like. I'll go broke reading Lord of the Rings, right? That's the only book I've read this year. Because it's like it's already sort of baked in, whereas even reading a new book for fun feels like work for me. And I don't know how to like break that circuit.
I'm interested. I'm interested if you think about it the same way. I think you probably do. Like, so part of the way my brain has started functioning, okay, is that even if like a friend or something sends me a book and I want to read it, the way my brain is, because it's work to me. I sit there and I go, I could read that, but really, what I should be reading is I need to be reading these specific stories to find out how they did these specific things, because these series are like, even for instance, Malazan, all right? I want to find out, I feel like in my brain, I need to read that for work, because regardless of how I feel about whatever pieces of it are done in whatever way, there is something in it that has captured this genuine passion, this ferocity in a readership. And so I almost feel like I need to read certain books for specific things to learn, like for work, craft wise. I need to find these things out.
Yeah.
Like even Empire of Silence, like I want to read it because I love space opera. So I know it's a well-written space opera, well-written kind of sci fantasy.
But it's also like a sprawling
something I love.
epic. It's a sprawling epic.
Yeah, so it's something that falls
that
into
really,
this type of stuff that I would read. But also, there clearly has things that are captured really well in it. Like when people told me about like the time with Adrian and with everything else and how the years pass and stuff, I think that's a real cool concept. I want to like study how Christopher does it. And so that ends up like taking over my reading brain. Like I feel like I can't read this book for pleasure because I have to read this book for work. I have to study it. I have to get better at my craft, and I have to see how other people did these things to learn, if that makes sense.
No, dude, I completely understand.
Yeah.
Because like for me, so much of my reading is for SFF Addicts, and a lot of that is like, yes, I do enjoy a lot of the books that I'm reading for the show, but it also does feel like work. It feels like something that I'm approaching from an angle of like, what can this story tell me about this particular author's approach to craft and genre and whatever the masterclass topic is going to be, all that different kind of stuff. And the same thing when I'm like, since I've become a writer, I've started to read more like a writer, where I'm deconstructing while I'm reading, which is like, it's like both like a really, really helpful thing, but at the same time is infuriating, because it's like, it pulls me out of the immersion when I'm like, oh, I see what they did there. And then I start like, I reread it and try and figure out like, okay, that's how they pulled this off. Right. And so for me, it is really hard. And I think for a lot of readers, they don't necessarily understand that once writers become writers and it becomes their full-time job, or it becomes like a major part of their life, the amount that they read goes way down, like way down. And that's why a lot of writers is like, they'll look to different mediums to kind of scratch that itch. Like I know a lot of writers who play video games. Yeah, like video games, films, TV. It's kind of strange that like to create to create works in this particular medium kind of pushes us away from the very medium that we fell in love with. So it's this very strange paradox of being a writer.
And what were you saying, Christopher?
Yeah, but I I don't remember precisely, but like to sort of springboard off that, right? Unless like I know specifically that there is something in a book that I want or need to learn about, it's hard for me to even try and see.
Yeah,
You know?
I get that.
It's
Yeah,
like, well, people are talking about this writer, right? It's not like, you know, I feel no inducement to go and read Fourth Wing because it's Fourth Wing, right? I don't think I would. Right?
Wait, no, I think
Come on, dude.
I only laughed there not because I feel I need to be derogatory to Fourth Wing, but just the concept of Christopher reading Fourth Wing is brilliant to me.
Correct.
I would probably pay you to read Fourth Wing and give me your reaction.
No, but Ryan, let him read. Let him read Of Blood and Fire first, at least. Come on, man.
Yeah, one of these days, you know. I feel bad because I know Philip's read like all of my books, and I'm like so behind, you know.
So you gotta edit it in. You gotta find books I want to read too. You gotta find like 4,000 or 5,000 words and edit in a solid sex scene in book 7. And I think you need to study Fourth Wing to learn how it's done.
And I will teach you about mushroom semen. We got this, man. It's all taken care of.
That's true. That's what I need.
You know what? That's the right sci-fi mix to throw in.
Yeah. Fourth stem. There we go. Yeah. We got this.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
The mycelium. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh
okay.
my God.
Okay.
But no, I totally get you, Chris.
But no, I'm picking on it because it's like a big topic. Yeah. You know, it's a big name, right? So it's not like I'm I'm bullying some writer no one's heard of, right? But like I said this before, like I really admire writers that I'm not like in some particular way. Right? Like I'm a big Tim Powers fan, right? I don't know if you guys have ever read any stuff. Nope. But Tim's like really research heavy, right? He does historical fantasy, right? He picks a period he's interested in and he reads about it until he gets an idea. And he's actually, to sort of go back to some of the like the hard science guys coming to write space opera, he's sort of the other way because he writes fantasy, but his supernatural stuff always has a little bit of a scientific edge to it, which is kind of fun. There's a bit in one of his books where the space is sort of breaking down because of the supernatural stuff, and the cannon and the gunfire coming through the windows hits like the double slit experiment, right? So instead of just hitting the back wall, it sort of turns into a waveform and hits the back wall of the hallway. It's very cool. But there's like all this weird quantum stuff. But I don't do a lot of research because I'm making up stuff mostly, right? And so I really admire that skill set, or I really so I'm interested more in listening to him talk about that because that's sort of extra textual, right? But I also like writers who don't take paragraphs to describe things because I like to. And you actually don't need to, right? There are writers who you can get by perfectly fine reading without knowing exactly what the uniform looked like. And how do they do that? I've been really interested lately in like the old Conan stories, which I've always loved. But more happens in a 10,000 word Conan story than happens in like most modern novels, right? Because the way the story is written is different, right? It's less cinematic in terms of the actual sentence construction, and like that's really cool, and I want to understand that, and that's really like a more academic exercise, right? That's like not even reading. It's like, I feel like let me look at this page, right, and break that down, and so reading often, like for me, doesn't even look like reading. I think.
Yeah, you're actually you're doing it like you would be. You're studying.
Academic. Yeah.
You're studying, and that's almost what I mean as well. Like when I say I will almost want to get to this specific aspect of the story that I've heard or done in a particular way to find out how that author did it, what approach they took, what techniques worked well to deliver the thing they're delivering. Like even this concept, so say with Sun Eater, right? It takes space over such a large time span, right? Academically, I want to study how that works, because for me, the story that I'm telling, although there's a large time span in the world, the story I'm currently doing is linear, and it's obviously that's linear too, but I mean it's linear in quite a close time span in comparison. So it's how that story is told, how you go about tackling that massive span of time, how it affects the mentality of the characters, how they interact with the world, how the world interacts with them as it's changing. That's the kind of stuff where like that's what makes me want to read a series. So if someone tells me, oh, the author's done this really well, or the author tackles this a lot, it's like it's a major thing, and the series is done well, I go, all right, cool. I want to learn how that author did that, because like that's really cool. It's a different style of storytelling, and a different, characters are encountering different conflict types than what my characters are encountering. So I want to see how that author did it, and it does end up like I'm reading it and I'm studying it. Like I'm stopping and I'm going, all right, so they did that, and like I'll stop after, say at the end of the book, writing the chapter, I'll go, oh wow, the way they did that was really cool. Like I like how they approached it, and it doesn't mean I end up way slower when I'm reading, and it does mean that sometimes that base enjoyment isn't there. Like it is, like I'm enjoying it. If it's good writing and I like it, I'm enjoying it. But it's not that free enjoyment that I used to have when I just read to read.
Yeah, and unless, right, and this happens very occasionally, right, the book is just so good, you're like, okay, hold on, like, just forget, for what was I doing, right? That does happen still, but it's not terribly common anymore. So I always feel like a fraud because my readers will be like, what are you reading right now?
Yeah.
Right? At signing,
I read 97 books this year. What did you read? I read the pamphlet on the local Chinese takeaway. That is about it right now.
My email, this text message, the chat right now, right? Like, yeah.
But it's also really
my
cool.
own book.
Like I think, like when you look back and say like Dune and Lord of the Rings, okay, they get so affected by the visual medium that is there now that when people go back to read the books, they almost get shell shocked by how different the narrative is told. Like,
and I think both of those are like perfect comparisons in terms of like how cinema has converted like the cultural perception of what this thing is.
People who watch the first Lord of the Rings trilogy go back and read the Lord of the Rings. It's
dude,
not what they thought it was.
No.
Like they hit like the Tom Bombadil section. They're like, what the?
Tom is the best, okay? Tom Bombadil gave me the idea.
We love Tom here. We love Tom. Yeah.
That's the thing is, I can love it, and I can also understand how people almost bounce off it because it doesn't hit the expectation they had after watching the films. So I would have read the books and then seen the films separately, and I can appreciate them both as separate things that are maybe joined. But some people who've only read the book, only seen the films, and then they're like in their 30s and someone questions them. And I'd say like 90% of people who said they've read the Lord of the Rings books, or particularly the Silmarillion, haven't. They just say they have because they'll feel like a douchebag or in a group of people who have read it, or say they've read it. But there's some people who go back and like I know friends who like watched the Lord of the Rings films and they go, oh, where will I start? The Silmarillion seems to be the earliest one I'll start.
The Hobbit is the right place to start.
You're gonna die. Like don't. You'll actually go into shock.
Yeah. You read that last, if at all.
If at all is a good.
But I love it, but it shouldn't exist in a certain sense, right? Like,
but it's cool how, for me, it's like when you see like all the wikis and stuff online, right? Like Game of Thrones wikis, Brandon Sanderson's wikis, and Coppermine and stuff, and you go and you read them and you go, whoa! Like the history in this is so dense and it's amazing and it's incredible. But then you go and read the actual book and you realize the person who wrote the wiki like expanded on it way more, if that makes sense. Like you go back and there could be these huge cultural things in sections in a wiki, and in the book it's like a line. And you realize that it's just that alteration of reality, which kind of comes with these massive series, these huge sections of lore and history that are amazing, but maybe aren't quite as in depth when you read the book. They're mentioned.
There's always going to be extrapolation because like you said before about people who want to, say studios that want to fill in all the holes, Star Wars, whatever, versus like readers who want that creative fan liberty to start imagining their own interpretations of the world or their own extrapolations of like
that's
X,
why when
Y,
some
and Z.
readers say to me, hey, are you going to tell this story? We really want it. I was like, you don't want it. You think you want it. you want to think about it. All right, you want to think about the cool shit that happened. But you don't actually want me to tell you because that takes all of your imagination away. All your fun is gone.
Write a fanfic. Write a fanfic.
It's over, right? Yeah, you want your readers to
I nearly said fill that hole
keep thinking
yourself.
about it.
Sorry.
And they won't as soon as you give them.
Sorry.
Come on,
sorry,
Ryan,
sorry.
you child.
No, I was just trying to make a point.
No, carry on.
Before we get too far from this, though, talking about like the all the sort of surrounding stuff, setting expectations. How many times does Tolkien tell us that the elves have long ears?
0 times, yeah.
Never in there at all, actually. That is all book covers. Right, and so yeah, it's like I was just watching. There's a channel called, I think, First Timer, and he's been reading through Lord of the Rings for the first time and just writing essays. And he was talking about how different Boromir is and how much he actually like loves Boromir now, because Boromir in the book is actually mostly pretty great and like pretty sympathetic, and like brave in a way that
Cool as shit.
the movies just don't really have time for. And they kind of twist a lot of the characters a little bit in the movie. The movies obviously are great. Right?
I agree with you. But Boromir's scene is one of the most powerful like things in the whole trilogy for me. Like him and Aragorn is like I agree with you because they don't actually give him a lot of time and don't show a lot of it. But they somehow still do manage. I think he still managed to get this extremely poignant moment when he.
Oh sure.
Like,
I'm not
trying
to
not give a spoiler, and I'm like, wait, hold on, it's Lord of the Rings. I think it's spoiled.
Everyone here has probably watched Lord of the Rings movies. Come on.
Yeah,
you never know. I got in trouble
once
for saying that King Arthur dies, and so
Really?
like eventually.
Yeah, like it's been 1,500 years since he died, probably ? Get over it, But
Unless he's an elf.
yeah, well,
You never know.
yeah.
Man.
We'll be back though, is the thing, right? So, but yeah, no, the whole Battle of Camelot was a bit of a shock for someone in the comment section once.
Oh, boo-hoo. Boo-hoo.
But Boromir dies, so now you know.
Yeah. We're not people asked if we're gonna mention spoilers for Ryan's book. No, but for Lord of the Rings, yes.
Yes.
Everything
Yeah,
else
so
is
like
off
for
the table.
for the launch of book 4, I think spoiling stuff would be
that's
a bit crazy, considering the fact that it's actually still not out in the US.
It is out
for
it is out in 4 hours.
Yeah, it's out soon enough. Depending because it's PST. So like 4 hours or so.
Yeah, you still got time.
Yeah, I will. However, I will spoil my book 7 right now. The sun does that.
Actually, Chris, we got
it's an aperitif.
We got some funny comments. Apparently, man, I shouldn't have taken all those mushrooms. Funny enough, Chris, I have had multiple people mention to me, it's like, you've read Sun Eater, right? I'm like, yeah, why? And they're just like, Adrian Gibson. I'm like, I know, man. It's like Chris obviously was so inspired by me.
But you do realize you have no choice. You have no choice but for the last chapter in book 7 to be "It was all a dream."
It was all a dream.
Like,
and then
just be...
include and then you can include a QR code to what was that song, that Notorious B.I.G. song, Juicy. Yeah, you can include a QR code to Juicy at the end after saying it was all a dream.
And that would be the greatest literary twist in modern fiction. You have the 7 series Sun Eater books. I consider this, really strong prose that kind of goes into the intellectual properties of stuff, and right at the end, but it was all a dream, and you just boom, full stop.
I'll put it in the special edition.
Yeah. Hadrian Marlowe was on shrooms.
And then his editors are gonna be like, "What the fuck happened to you, Chris? So what's going on, man?"
No, actually, that's
you okay?
You said that in your manuscript.
I wanted out. This is my only way to leave now.
But like, send that as the ending to your editor, but have the real ending ready for when they get to it and want to stab you in the face.
There you go. And then all 3 of us can write a crossover: a Mushroom Blues, a fungal verse Sun Eater bound in the broken crossover. That's what we're gonna do.
Everybody loves dragons on shrooms flying through space. So
yep, we got this shit.
I'm pretty sure that's a Star Ocean game, actually.
Of course it is.
Carter had a really good question. Kind of, looping into what we've been talking about. But what did you guys feel like when it came to the realization that your books?
You mean we have to actually be on topic with regards to books and stuff instead of just randomly going off on tangents?
We just like ebb and flow. It comes back.
No, I'm joking.
What did you guys think, like, when you came to the realization that, like, oh shit, my books are actually popular and like my literary career, things are going well. I can do this full time.
I'm really interested in Christopher's answer to this because I think it's a strange question to try and answer in like I don't know. It's a weird because I don't know if there is a moment for me.
Yeah, it came in like pieces, right? Because I actually like.
Yeah.
So I quit to write full time when my sales were at their worst. Actually,
Which classic. Yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah.
yeah, you know, my wife was working, right? And so that's usually like the first bit of how do you do this job advice is like, what does your spouse do, right? First question. So she was able to sort of, balance the books as it were, so that I could try to ramp up and do this more. And I just got to a point where
Balance the books together.
yeah,
The books.
yeah.
He is a living double entendre.
So I had the job then, but like it didn't really feel earned, right? And then it started things started to like get worse, right? Because like I lost my publisher. It's like a long story, right? But like they didn't want to keep going with the series.
The greatest gift that ever actually happened.
It worked out. Now it's very funny, right? And like everything's good. But like it looked like things were over, right? It was the "it's over, we're back" meme. But then
it's like the Ross and Rachel of publishing.
Yeah, sort of.
We're on a break.
But it's but so like it came in pieces, right? And then the like booktube thing happened, but that was also in pieces. Like Mike was several years before the Patrick Daniel like 1-2 punch that sort of quintupled my sales. Thanks guys. And then things have only like continued to get better as like book 6 came out in paperback, and but like really like the weird thing about it is so much of this job is now digital, right? And so on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't feel like it's happening at all. But then I went to Dragonsteel last year, and I had a line for like 6 hours. And the last time I was at a convention, I sold 20 books in a weekend, and I was not prepared for that at all. Like I literally like did not bring enough books to the convention, and that was very cool. So like maybe it's that convention that like was really like, oh, actually I made it, right? But I, practically speaking, had made it already, right? Like the money had been coming in, and things were good, and things were stable. My wife had quit her job already at that point, and which has been great because now our daughters have both parents at home all the time. But it came in like weird little steps. So I never like just woke up one morning or like got the email and it was there. It was like one little step at a time.
Because like that's very much it. Like I know when I went full time, it wasn't because I was earning enough to go full time. It was we were in the middle of COVID and we were moving to New Zealand, so I had to quit my job because I couldn't work my job in the lab from a different continent. So I had to quit the job, and because I quit the job, I was technically writing full time, but I wasn't earning enough to go full time. And then we moved to New Zealand, and New Zealand experienced COVID for the first time. Of course, it did just as we moved in, and there was lockdown for 6 months, so I couldn't get another job. And in those next 6 months, the series income got to a stage where I was like, oh, this is like full-time-ish income, maybe like not exactly what I want, but like I can do this. But at the same time, like Christopher said, it's digital. So I'm sitting at home and I don't feel like anything's changed. I'm just like able to feed myself. And it doesn't feel like crazy. And I still doubt myself every time I release a book. And then like this year, when I went over, when I met Christopher in person for the first time, and we were over in the US, and like those live events were so cool because like, I don't know, it just feels so strange. I hadn't had like a live event like that before at all. And then we went, and every venue we were at was like sold out before we got there, and we could have had a larger one. And then we did have an issue with like traffic and stuff on one of the on the first night or second night, which was, and we still had a really good There was an issue, but it's still great. And there was something really cool about that. Like the two of us, especially in like the in the theater one, when we were signing books afterwards, like the two of us are just sitting there at the table, and there's just these lines of people, and it was so cool because there's people who had traveled such great distances, like especially for someone coming from Ireland, where like you can cross the country in 3 hours. So there's people who traveled like 18 hours. People who it literally took like a day or two to get there, just to come to this event, just to say hi, just to get book signed. And that's when I was kind of sitting there, and I texted like my wife was back home, and I was like, I think this is real. Like, you know, there's people who like really genuinely, I think meeting people, because I am a pretty social like person anyway. So I think meeting people in real life and them saying, hey, like this book or these series really affected me. Like they have played a big part of my life. And that's when you kind of sit there, and for me, I realized, wow, like I'm actually writing things that mean something to people somewhere else in the world, and I can do it full time. And so I think the concept of making it is strange because this industry always feels so unstable. But the concept
even for people who are like I've talked to many authors about this. I talked recently to my friend Richard Swan about this. Basically, like, even if you're in traditional publishing and you have a contract, once that contract's done, it doesn't mean anything else is a guarantee, you know? And in indie publishing, every single book that we put out is essentially us gambling with ourselves and our money to say, like, is this investment going to be worthwhile? So all of it is a gamble, and nobody's ever secure.
But it's a funny one as well, because you have like the Amazon boycott and stuff, and you know, people ask about that, and it's really hard to answer from an indie author perspective, because even if I want, I can't hate Amazon, because what they've done with the Kindle ecosystem has enabled my entire career. Like, it is easy for me to turn around and say, you know, Amazon, the devil, leave them alone, you know, don't touch them. But like, for me, now that I have a more stable and diversified income stream from different places, and it's easier. If Amazon did go away, it's taken me a while to get there, I wouldn't just lose my career. But every author coming after me, every indie author coming after me, they might think it's a cool thing to have it all spread out, and eventually it would be. But for that period, that platform that allowed me to have a career would be gone. And so it's hard. Like, I literally wouldn't be an author. I could have been in the querying trenches for the next 10 years. Because I had no other avenue. And Amazon actually having that core allowed such a large amount of discoverability. And it's obviously it's a crazy field and stuff, but yeah, it's mad. And I think even then, like, a lot of people right now, I think there was some comments in there, but will the book be available on Kobo and other stuff? And the unfortunate part of it is I would love to have it available everywhere, but right now, I have like the exclusivity agreement with Amazon, and too much money that like my family relies on is generated from that platform for me to pull away.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
Especially like something like Kindle Unlimited, right?
That's the main reason. Like, Kindle Unlimited is such a large portion of my income, even now. And it's such a noticeable portion that I can't afford, with a family and a new daughter and everything else, to take the risk of pulling it away right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not something that anyone if anyone else asking me to do it was in my position, they wouldn't do it. So it's a really hard one. And like, it's an unstable career, no matter what part of the industry or what side of the industry you're in, just for different reasons.
Yeah.
It's a crazy one.
Yeah. But I think it's so beautiful that you guys got the chance to do like those live events. And I experienced like just like an inkling of this when I went to Worldcon, where it was like, oh shit, there are people here who like know me from the podcast or know me from Mushroom Blues, or like, you know, like some 70-year-old hippie being like, hey, mushroom man. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? That just like made
that could be for many reasons. Then.
Yeah. He thinks I'm selling mushrooms or something. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool experience, and a lot of love in the comments for the live events that you guys did. Like Shane Boyce.
They were so much fun.
Said it was awesome to meet you guys in Dallas. More events. Ryan was mentioning at the beginning of this that he wants to do more.
Yeah, I'd love
more
to try
stuff.
and do something with Christopher again this year when I go over. It's just about taking the time now.
Yeah.
Once this book's finished, to actually plan something and sit down and go, what's going on? Like, for instance, Worldcon still hasn't accepted me to the program or as attending, so I might just be going to it and not actually be on the program. But DragonCon has.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, World Fantasy Con has as well, but I might not be able to be in the UK at that time anymore, which is annoying.
Fair enough. Chris, are you going to Dragon Con?
No. I actually have a wedding like that.
What?
I have to go to. So, it's one of those friends you can't skip out on. So.
That's fair. That's
God damn it, him and his excuses.
Yeah, sucks.
Chris,
I'm probably doing Dragon Steel though. So
Dragon Steel
I'm
next.
going to try for that one.
Nice.
I'm just going to wait for when do the applications for program participants open up for that?
I am not 100% sure. I sort of snuck is not quite the right word, but I was like an extra exhibitor on Larry Correa's booth last year, so I don't know. So I wasn't on any panels. I will
find out.
Yeah. But I think
we'll find out.
But that was a good show. The cool thing about that show is that it wasn't for movies or comic books or video games. It was like actually everyone's there.
Just book stuff.
And that's what Worldcon is about, and that's what made Worldcon special, as opposed to, like, I love DragonCon, it's great, but Worldcon is book focused.
Yeah.
Worldcon is really cool. Significantly smaller than Dragon Steel, though. Significantly smaller. Yeah.
Yep.
When I went to one Worldcon, in 2018, it was 2,000 people. Dragon Steel was 12,000 people.
I didn't realize Dragon Steel was so
large.
I think
Worldcon usually averages around like 4,000 to 6,000, which is not insignificant by any means. But yeah, like Dragon Steel has become
I would imagine
something far beyond just Brandon.
There's a much higher density of professional attendees at Worldcon, though.
Writers, editors.
It might be 6,000, but
agents.
There's a huge amount of industry professionals there.
Yeah,
Dragon Steel might change this year.
Yeah. The reason they go to Worldcon is networking. And if especially if you're trying to get in, that's maybe a good thing to do. World Fantasy is better actually for that reason. It's World Fantasy is usually even smaller. I want to say it was under 1,000 when I went in Baltimore. It's like small on purpose, and it's like almost entirely pros.
And it is cool to do.
Yeah.
I was initially going to the one in Brighton this year, but then with all our move intercontinentally, we actually literally might just not be in the country for that period of time.
Yeah.
We were meant to be there in October, November, and now we're like, oh, what if we fly over for 2 months, then fly back for 2 months to sell everything over here, and then fly back again? That's a lot of 60-hour round trips, but this is life.
Taylor has our girl Taylor over in Japan has a great question. I think we'll close out with this one, and then we'll wrap things up. But she wanted to go back to research, and wants to know what the biggest rabbit holes each of us has fallen down when researching something for our worlds.
I feel like Christopher has some rabbit holes.
I can't think of like a particular one, but I'm pretty bad about this.
That's what I mean.
Just I'll lose like 45 minutes pretty easily for whatever reason. This morning, I for absolutely no reason, right? All the Imperial starships are named after birds, like their class names are birds, right? So I was like reading one of them is an ibis. So I was reading about ibises, and I was like, why is the African sacred ibis sacred, right? And then I was suddenly reading about the Egyptians' mummification practices for these birds, because they would sacrifice them to Thoth, and there was something like 8 million mummified ibises.
Dude, that's gnarly.
And it's like, why am I reading about this? This is absolutely nothing to do with the book at all. It's just like the name of the bird. But I'm real bad about. That's like how
I do that a fair amount as well, to be honest. I remember explicitly that I went to look up where the people poop, like in medieval time. Where do you shit? Okay, that is one of the largest wormholes you will ever explore. Where the sanitation and hygiene for medieval people, where they took shits, is a huge wormhole that I got lost in. And any wikis, like sometimes I'll remember something. I'll sit there and I genuinely have issues with this. Like I could sit there, be writing, and all of a sudden I'll go, man, I love Perrin from Wheel of Time. And then I'll go over and I type in Perrin from Wheel of Time. And then I'm on a Wheel of Time wiki. And then like an hour and a half later, I'm like 900 random pages deeper than I was, looking at nothing to do with Perrin at all. And I'm like, I just lost like an hour and a half. I don't really remember most of what I just read. I just know I had fun. It's
that's the thing. That's the thing. Like most of my rabbit holes were like mushroom related, or like coming up with like all the places in the world that I created are named after certain genuses of mushrooms. And so it's like doing that world building stuff for sure. But then like I went down some crazy rabbit holes about like Japanese mythology and like Shintoism and Buddhism and stuff like that, and how that kind of influenced the religion of the fungal people. So it's like I just fucking love those rabbit holes, and always when I go into Japanese mythology, I always end up going into like yokai and like Japanese demons and monsters and ghosts and stuff like that.
We have Brian D. Anderson in the chat. I just wanted to say there. Just want to say hi to
Hey, Brian.
Brian's
Hi, Brian.
Yeah.
You have to know these things when you're a king. Where do you shit? That is the key question when you're a king.
It's not where do you shit. It's where does the shit go after you shit?
Right.
You know, it's the journey. It's the journey
okay.
the poop takes.
It's the journey, not the destination, right, Ryan?
100%.
There we
go. That's where it's coming from here. Where does the shit go? How does it get there? How long does it stay in each location?
Yeah.
And this is that mound of shit will build.
Right. That's what the gold farmer is for, right? Cart it off.
There were literally shit shovelers. And that's where the expression "stop shoveling shit" comes from.
Amazing. Chris, also Brian's asking African or European. I imagine he's asking about the
He
ibis.
looks European.
The ibis. Well, so
okay.
you asked. I actually
is Chris African or European?
He's now an invasive species in Europe, and this is a problem. And I learned about this today for no reason. Brian can recite the whole Monty Python Holy Grail movie, but also do the tone and pitch of all the characters perfectly. It's very unsettling. I would
love to see
You're
this.
not the Messiah. Is
there a recording of this, Brian? I want to see this, man. I fucking love that movie.
He could certainly just do it again. He's a gift. Pitch perfect recreation of the movie for free.
Just like a one-man show, man. Brian, you should travel around America just doing on your motorcycle, because I know you ride bikes. You should just travel around America doing a one-man show of Monty Python.
This is the great thing. So Brian just said there, how far can you travel on a horse? Can they eat grass? How often do they need rest? Right. The great thing about writing in a third world fantasy instead of a second world fantasy, because I can get rid of all of that by saying, this is a rare breed of horses from this land over here who can travel 10 miles more per day than all the other horses. Like, great. Now I have extra mileage. How do you get more mileage on your horse? Make one up.
Yeah. Be like, it doesn't need grass.
Horse's talons, so you can do whatever you want, really.
Yeah. Like the one you will always see everywhere, right? How fast can a dragon fly? Right? The first thing being, legitimately, they'd be too fucking heavy to fly anyway. So however fast I want.
But then, answering that question is nobody needs to know that shit. It's like in Star Wars. Nobody needs to know what midichlorians are. We don't need to know that stuff.
It's a weird one, though, because I think it depends on the type of world you're writing. You don't need to know they fly at 127 miles per hour, right? But you do have to have a general concept of how far they could go in a day, give or take. Because otherwise you create this weird internal inconsistency, which is kind of shown very clearly and laughed at for Game of Thrones.
I was just going to say Game of Thrones.
And it's like, wait, hold on. You mean
y'all are traveling too fast
to fly there, but Gendry sprinted like Usain Bolt on crack for a 4-day trip in 30 minutes. And so you can create these inconsistencies because you'll have parts in George's book. I love George R. R. Martin. I absolutely love him and love him as a human being and what he gives in talks and conversations and also his books. But you see the inconsistencies where he'll talk about how Rhaenyra and Daemon used to fly basically the fucking length of of all of Westeros in a day and back.
And so obviously someone out there calculated that shit.
Yeah, so they're flying fucking 280 miles an hour or something nuts, which obviously just for your eyes alone.
They need face shields. Yeah, you get a bug flying into your eye. There's a hole punctured through your.
There's certain things that I think in fantasy, if you can explain one thing, you don't have to explain a different thing. Yeah. So that's where you can get clever about it. And, there's certain things you can do, like I say, Mary Robin Cole had that thing that I always talk about, how you don't have to explain why the Pegasus can fly if you explain how the saddle fits around the wings, right? So if you explain the mundane thing that you can touch and explain that they've made this saddle that fits on perfectly, then they don't really need to learn how
it's
the
kind of
flies. You just accept it. It flies.
It's kind of like misdirection in magic. It's I'm just gonna point you in this direction so you think about this thing and the other thing just whatever. You can.
It's kind of like a one for you, one for me thing. Like,
that too.
I don't have to
to show good faith.
Yeah. You know, you allow someone to suspend their disbelief by giving them a touchstone that grounds their belief. So, like, you know, I can ground your belief that this horse exists as a creature because I now know how to saddle it in the same way I would a normal, real horse that I could touch. Therefore, the magical element becomes less magical. And it's like with George with the dragons, which is a thing that I take in my series of dragons too. And it gets real funny when people get real controversial about it online. But the reason why one of the main reasons why I prefer anatomically to have the hind legs and the forelimbs instead of 4 legs and 2 wings, even though it seems like a real mundane thing, is because grounding it in an anatomy that people are used to seeing in bats and stuff like that, and so people can picture movements a lot easier in their brain, allows this fantastical magical creature. It just takes one step away of that disbelief. So, like, obviously it's still a fantastic fire-breathing creature that's magical, but anything you can do when you're writing that makes your job easier to make this creature believable in your world, like if you can show, again, like small things, how you can actually fucking feed these beasts, you know, where they shit, what they do with the shit, and then simple
Ryan's
stuff
got a baby.
like,
his life is just full of shit.
It's all
right
about
now.
shit.
Okay.
It's all about
Yeah.
shit
All about
right
shit.
now. It's all about shit. That's the whole world's about shit. The dog shits, the baby shits. It's its own thing.
It's a great time.
But those kind of things, like that, the anatomy of that, giving a familiar anatomy takes one thing away from what I have to do.
Yeah.
And if you can make something do 2 things at once, if that anatomy can provide a familiarity for a reader, then I don't have to go an extra step trying to explain something. Which I like. It's like, you know, take away as much of the work that you need to do as possible.
Yeah, I mean that definitely helps with immersion, you know.
That's what I mean. Yeah, so
science fiction
it helps
science
that
fiction
suspension of disbelief.
Yeah. Science fiction and fantasy, like when they get bogged down is when that suspension of disbelief is pulling the reader. It's like it's not working properly and it's pulling the reader out of the experience. It's like
stuff man, like for me,
you can put in all the science that you want, but it's like if it doesn't help things function properly, if it doesn't make the story make sense, then why the fuck is it there? And obviously you don't need to like info dump and explain everything. You can infuse that stuff.
But it's stuff like I know, like with dragons, for me, like when you have these creatures that crash in the air, okay, I've never been able to get into my head that these two like 300, 400 foot long beasts that breathe fire with talons that can do. I can never get into my head that 2 of them can collide and both of them always leave. Like, when these things hit each other, things should die. Like
I feel like there would be like the power of that, there would be like a shockwave, you know?
Yeah, but it's also like they do it really well in House of the Dragon, in the concept that anyone who understands what a dragon really is, what they're capable of, does not want them to go to war. All of the people who have experience with what happens when they actually fight are like, please don't do this. Like, you do not want to see 500 people set on fire. You do not want to see what happens when a 300-foot beast crashes to the ground from 5,000 feet. Like, it's not a thing you want to witness. And so, like, but I think even just showing bits of that in fantasy, again, allows you a few more little checks on your suspension of disbelief that you can give to the reader somewhere else, because at least they can witness the real life implications of what happens when this magical creature hits the ground. You know, those small touchstones to what they'd expect. Like, what would happen if a Boeing 747 fell into a football stadium? Like, you know, you can ground it in things they could be familiar with.
Oh, look at you and your double entendres. You can ground it. You're learning from the best, Ryan.
I'm trying. Christopher he's my guide. Right? He's my Sherpa.
He's my lodestone. He's my lodestone.
He is my literary Sherpa.
Yes, I'm one for climbing mountains. Yeah.
Oh, Chris is blushing. This is wonderful.
No,
I've never been called a literary Sherpa before. And
that's going on that's the blurb actually.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'll do that. Give me book 7. Give me a blurb anywhere. Give me a black blurb. Literary Sherpa, Ryan Cahill.
Yeah, I'll email Daw immediately and see if they'll go for it.
I think they'd take it personally. I think they would take it.
You know, there's a chance.
Literary Sherpa, or my literary Sherpa. If they're not buying the first one, I'll add the my. All right, I'll take it on.
Yeah, that's what we need. That'll bring it all together.
If you don't like email Daw, I will release an alternate cover version.
Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
For Instagram. Yeah.
Shadows Upon Time, my literary Sherpa, Ryan Cahill.
Aw.
Perfect. Perfect.
I'm ready for it.
We're all ready for it. And on that note, we'll wrap this up. But it's been absolutely wonderful to hang out with you guys. And honestly, like everyone in the chats, y'all have been fucking amazing with some great questions. Brian D. Anderson just rocking it here at the end.
Randomly shows up and just
he's asking about how fatherhood has changed our writing habits, but we talked about it quite a bit at the beginning. So there's the shit talk was more recent, but
I just sleep less, cry more, and have a constant headache.
Ryan cries with his baby. It's wonderful.
It's the only way to drown out the sounds.
It's funny. My friend got me these headphones for that, and it's like they have like voice pass through. Like, what were you thinking?
There's actually I have found, because I have multiple different like active noise cancelling ones, and they're amazing. But babies shriek at a frequency it's almost like it's like that scene. It's like that scene in the sci-fi film where they finally find the frequency for the phasers that goes through the shields, and it's just like straight into your head.
You know what babies are capable of? Like they shriek like Nazgul. Like it's crazy. Honestly, how they're able. Yeah.
I have heard that when they were doing the sound booth recordings, that they did get a baby shrieking, and that's what the Nazgul are. Yep.
Wonderful.
It's the truth. It's the truth. It's the truth. I also like just to point out, who doesn't know who Brian D. Anderson is, like he is the person that whenever I see him at a con, I literally just go, "Oh fuck," in a happy way, because I know what's coming. I'm on board for it. But before he showed up, I didn't know that this is how my night was going to be. And then Brian appears, and I'm just like, right, okay, here we go.
And then the next morning, the next morning, Ryan wakes up and he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't have clothes. It's just complete disaster.
Mushrooms.
Mushrooms, man.
I've been on too many panels with Brian to not understand how the rest of the night is going to go.
But that's the magic of it, man. That's the magic.
Oh, it's magic.
Yeah, it's like an aerial dragon fighting ends with a lot of mushroom deaths on the ground. That's true. They do crush a lot of mushrooms.
Sad mushrooms.
The mushrooms win in the end, though, after they eat the dead dragon.
Yeah. Oh, of course, man. They're the greatest decomposers in the world. They'll have a fucking feast on that dragon. It's going to be a good time.
It's game over.
It's game over, man.
Mushroom always wins.
Oh, man. And PL, I'm just going to throw this up there because it sums things up. Thank you for stopping by, buddy. Just Ryan, we love you, bud, and we want to say huge congratulations on book 4.
Thank you. Congratulations on your new special editions.
Thank you, buddy. We're very proud of you. Chris, we're proud of you for almost finishing book 7. Just 3 dads powering through this shit. We got it.
Before we do run off, how far away are you? How much more do you have left?
So I will probably finish like by the end of April. I think I might do one more pass to try and cut more because it's still longer than I want it to be. But
what's it looking like? As in, like, how much do you think you're going to end up cutting?
So I'm down to 405,000 right now. So I almost cut 30,000. Which is not bad.
There's something beautiful about a book this long that if you actually just cut a very small amount of words from each chapter, you end up with a large amount of cut.
Yeah, it was that 30,000 words just went very easily, right? But I'd like to get another 30 if I can. Just see if we can.
That's a fair amount. I think I cut about 20K from mine, and yeah, I find I try to write reasonably tight anyway. But sometimes I like to have a bit of a meander, like with classic fantasy, like I tend to anyway. That's part of the fun. That's what I love about Lord of the Rings. Have a bit of a meander. Where, like, as long as I'm not straying off into some random side quest for whatever, like a chicken, as long as it's still going in that direction, just a little bit meandery because I want to explore something. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, cutting like 60K from the manuscript,
it's hard, but I think it's worth doing, right? I have this sense that like a book's best form of itself is its shortest form, and that's not always 100% true. But like often, for me at least, like if a book is very long, it's like my fault, right? Like there's probably It's probably a little bit too much talking. Like I could probably pare that down. And really, I want to cut it down because there's a chapter I want to add, and I want to feel like I can. So
I only realized something. Yours is all from one point of view, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is where my escape is. Like I have like 17 points of view. So there's
and if you cut something, then it's like you're cutting an entire character.
That you write like a story like that consistently that long from one point of view is like really impressive.
No, thanks. I have no idea how to manage multiple points of view. We'll figure that out.
I honestly think my ADHD, like the way my brain works, I just get fucking bored with the one, and I'm like, oh, just give me something different, and I'll like go over here and I'll do this, and this is fun because I get to think from a totally different perspective, and then I can jump back to someone else who thinks entirely differently. And I'm pretty sure I'm developing like some kind of split personality. That's my own issue.
Yeah, I'm still not tired of him, which is good. Because I'll take a break. I'm going to do something completely unrelated after this. But yeah.
I hear you're writing like a dark fantasy smut kind of.
You got me. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
I think it's the Sun Swallower is the next one, I think.
Sun Swallower.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh my god.
When something comes into your head and then like the filter that's in your brain that's meant to be there for most people just doesn't catch it. And then
beautiful.
Yeah, there it is.
Sorry.
Man, Ryan, congratulations.
Please let me off this call. Congratulations.
I'm gonna get away from
Sun Swallowers. Get me out of here.
Yeah. But really, like, this is huge, man. Yeah, you made it against impossible odds. I'm glad the little one's okay. The broken leg is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been a crazy one. And I think, like, honestly, when you're saying it there, it's probably the first release I've had where I feel like a genuine, not first release, a genuine achievement, but there's something weird about it. I don't know. You probably get it when you're writing a book, right? Your first book, it's so important because it's the first book. And the second book is so important because it's the follow-up book. And if you're writing a series that's longer, like the third book's really important because people can drop out after 2, and third kind of shows your consistency, right? And so no matter which book it is, it seems to be the most important book always. And for some reason, I haven't been able to rest. And releasing the fourth book just kind of, I don't know, it feels like an internal piece of me has went, I, for the first time, feel like I've showed enough consistency in creating this book and getting to this stage right before the last book in the series that I can sit down for a second and go, I've earned what I have now. I've shown enough consistency in my work on my craft and my improvement in my craft and my dedication to my craft that, much less of inherent consistent imposter syndrome, which is still going to like rear its head every now and again. I know that's going to happen. But there's something really uniquely like cathartic about this one, about finishing this one, but like hitting today and going, I actually feel like I can lie down for a minute and maybe sleep for 6 to 7 hours, if the baby will let me.
Yeah, circumstances.
Yeah. I feel like I should be allowed to.
You earned it and you deserved it. Yeah, but
you won't get it.
Your little girl's like, my brain's not there yet. But one day,
we have reached a stage where if you tickle her tummy, she will smile like a crazy person.
Aww.
And also we've discovered that she is a lover of music, and specifically soul music. And if we ever want her to smile, we play Respect by Aretha Franklin. And she will literally grin from ear to ear. We put on the surround sound and it's like, what you want? She's just like,
dude, soul music is called soul music for a reason. It's good stuff.
For a reason, yeah.
Yeah, dude. But yeah, I mean, honestly, man, I'm very proud of you, and I respect you so much as a friend and as someone that I can look up to. I know you haven't read Mushroom Blues because
I'm taller. I do have the
time and stuff. But I did dedicate chapter 29 to you. So.
That's so cool.
So I just want you to know that I love you, buddy, and I know book 4 is going to kick ass, and everyone here in the chats is really positive in so many words of love and appreciation. So you did good, bud. You deserve the rest. You got this.
Well, I have to actually go in and play with little baby Ella now, but I'll rest eventually. There will be a time when I rest. And I have had a hammock in the back garden for like 8 months now. Haven't really sat in it or lay in it, but I will eventually. I think.
Yeah, enjoy that sun, man.
I'm gonna try. Did you say enjoy that sun? The one that this fucker is eating?
Yeah. No,
It's true.
he's swallowing it now. So
He's, ugh.
yeah, he ate it. So he ate it over 7 books, and now he has to swallow it. Dinner's done.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
You're created something you won't be able to escape.
Oh my god. Well, anyways,
It'll come up again for sure.
go support these two wonderful human beings. Ryan, the Bound of the Broken series, book 4 is out now in many parts of the world, and tomorrow
nearly in the US.
shy of a few hours in the US and other places. And then you can go check out the Sun Eater series by Chris, which starts with Empire of Silence. These two fat boys, so you get your money's worth, and then you can enjoy some mushies with me with Mushroom Blues.
I got a real quick cool one that speaks to being an author and realizing you're an author. I got a cool message in the Discord with a guy who said that he is going to bed at 6 p.m. to wake up at midnight so that he is actually awake to read the book when it launches. And I was like, that to have any reader who feels a way about a series that's something they want to do is just really magical. Like, it's hard not to just be, I don't know, furiously appreciative of that kind of stuff.
I agree.
So that's my end. No.
Y'all are magical. All of you readers, all of you who have supported us, everyone who supported Ryan, and everyone who's in the chat right now, especially Brian D. Anderson. You've been magical as fuck. Thank you all so much for watching.
Definition of a
Chris,
crazy bastard.
Chris, Ryan, love you guys, and thank you for joining me tonight or tomorrow, whatever time of day it is. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Go pick up Of Empires and Dust whenever it's available in your particular region.
So happy that it's out in the world.
Yeah. All right. Congrats again, Ryan. We love you, bud.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.